The Fall of Asgard. Prologue. The calm before the storm. The golden towers of Asgard shimmered under the eternal sun, their spires piercing the sky like spears of light. The rainbow bridge arched across the void, its colors rippling in the breeze, a living river of magic. Thor stood on the balcony of the great hall, Mjolnir resting against his shoulder. Below, the city bustled, merchants calling out prices in the market square, children chasing each other between the marble columns, warriors sparring in the training yards. It was the kind of day that made even a god believe in peace. But peace, Thor knew, was fragile, and in the 9 realms, it never lasted. The sky breaks. It began with a sound, not thunder, but something deeper, a low, resonant growl that seemed to come from the bones of the world itself. Thor's eyes snapped to the horizon. The sky tore open. A jagged wound of green fire ripped across the heavens, stretching from one end of the realm to the other. The light was blinding, the heat oppressive. From the rift, 2 burning shapes emerged, growing larger with every heartbeat. At first, they looked like meteors, but as they descended, their forms became clear. 2 alien hulks, brothers, each the size of a fortress, their skin veined with glowing bioluminescent energy, their eyes burning like twin suns. They didn't fall. They landed. The first slammed into the market square, the impact throwing warriors and stalls into the air like leaves in a hurricane. The second crashed into the palace courtyard, shattering marble and gold into dust. The first strike. Thor leapt from the balcony, Mjolnir spinning in a blur of lightning. By Odin's beard, he began, but the first Hulk's fist met in midair. The blow was like being hit by a collapsing mountain. Thor flew backward, smashing through 3 palace walls before crashing into the throne room. The brothers roared in unison, a sound that shook the very foundations of Asgard. Warriors charged, but their blades shattered against alien skin. The Hulks swatted them aside like insects. The conquest. By nightfall, Asgard had fallen. The rainbow bridge lay cracked, its magic bleeding into the void. The palace was in ruins. Fires burned in the streets. The larger Hulk, the leader, sat upon Odin's throne, his massive frame dwarfing it. The smaller brother patrolled the streets, enforcing their rule with brutal efficiency. The people were herded into the square, chained and beaten. The Hulk spoke in a guttural alien tongue, but their intent was clear: domination. Thor's escape. Thor lay hidden in the shadows of the ruined Hall of Heroes, his armor dented, his cape torn. He watched his people suffer, rage boiling in his chest. But rage without strength was useless. He slipped away under the cover of darkness, moving through the ruins like a ghost. At the edge of the city, he dove into the icy waters beneath the rainbow bridge and let the current carry him far from the burning capital. Hours later, he emerged on a rocky shore, coughing seawater. His destination was clear: Midgard. There was one being who might stand with him against this threat: Kal-El of Krypton. The meeting of gods. In the skies above Metropolis, Superman hovered, scanning the city for trouble. He heard the sonic boom before he saw the lightning. Thor landed in the middle of Centennial Park, sending pigeons scattering. "Thor," Superman asked, landing beside him. "There is no time for pleasantries, Man of Steel," Thor said, his voice grim. "Asgard has fallen. 2 beasts, Hulks but not of Midgard, have taken my people. I need your strength." Superman's jaw tightened. "Tell me everything." The search for weakness. In the Fortress of Solitude, Thor recounted the invasion. Superman listened, his mind already racing through possibilities. They pored over ancient Asgardian scrolls and Kryptonian archives. Days passed in relentless research. Finally, in a dusty Asgardian war record, they found it. The black sword of eternity, forged in the heart of a dying star, quenched in the blood of a world serpent. The only weapon known to pierce the hide of the Hulks from beyond. But the sword was not in Asgard. It lay hidden on a secret island, deep beneath its surface, guarded by an alien titan snake. The journey begins. At dawn, they set out. The Bifrost was broken, so they traveled by Kryptonian speed and Asgardian magic. They crossed oceans whipped by storms, mountains capped with ice, and deserts where the sand burned underfoot. Finally, they reached the island, a jagged spike of rock rising from a sea of black waves. The air was thick with sulfur. The ground trembled with something massive moving below. The Titan snake. They descended into the island's depths, through tunnels lined with glowing alien runes. The deeper they went, the hotter it became. Then they heard it, a hiss so loud it felt like it was inside their skulls. The alien Titan snake emerged from the shadows, its body as thick as a city street, its scales shimmering with toxic light. Its eyes locked on them, and the ground shook as it coiled to strike. The island of the Titan snake. Opening scene, into the depths. The tunnels beneath the secret island were alive. Not with light, but with movement, the slow, deliberate shifting of something colossal in the dark. Thor's boots crunched over alien bones. Superman's cape brushed the jagged walls, his eyes glowing faintly red to cut through the gloom. The air was thick with sulfur and heat. Every breath tasted like metal. Somewhere ahead, a hiss echoed, long, low, and hungry. The Titan snake appears. The cavern widened into a chamber the size of a stadium. From the shadows, it emerged. The alien Titan snake was a nightmare given form. Scales like molten armor, eyes burning with toxic light, fangs dripping acid that hissed as it hit the stone. Its body was so massive it coiled around the chamber walls like a living fortress. It didn't strike immediately. It watched, studied. Then, with a roar that shook the cavern, it lunged. The first clash. Thor met it head-on, Mjolnir spinning in a storm of lightning. The hammer slammed into the snake's jaw, sending sparks and acid flying. Superman blurred forward, a streak of red and blue, heat vision slicing across the serpent's scales, but the beam barely scorched them. The snake's tail whipped around, catching Superman mid-flight and slamming him into a wall hard enough to crack the rock. Thor was lifted in the creature's coils, the pressure crushing his armor. Turning the tide. Kal-El. Thor roared, straining against the coils. Superman shot upward, breaking free of the rubble, and slammed into the snake's head with enough force to crater the floor. The serpent recoiled, hissing in rage. Thor broke free, lightning exploding from his body, and together they drove the beast back, Thor hammering its skull, Superman delivering blow after blow to its armored body. Finally, with a roar that shook the island, the Titan snake collapsed, its body twitching before going still. The surviving Hulk brother arrives. The victory was short-lived. From the tunnel behind them came a sound Thor knew too well. The heavy, earth-shaking footsteps of a Hulk. The surviving alien Hulk brother stepped into the chamber, his massive frame filling the space. His eyes burned with fury. "You killed my brother," he growled in a voice that rattled the stone. "Now you die." The battle in the dark. The fight was chaos. Thor's lightning lit the cavern in blinding flashes. Superman's heat vision carved glowing scars into the walls. The Hulk's fists were like meteors, each strike sending shockwaves through the ground. The chamber began to collapse, chunks of rock falling from the ceiling. Thor took a hit that sent him sprawling. Superman caught the Hulk's next punch, their strength locking in a dead heat. The kill. Thor rose, blood on his lip, and hurled Mjolnir with all his strength. The hammer struck the Hulk's temple just as Superman drove a punch into his chest. The combined force sent the Hulk crashing into the Titan snake's corpse, and through it. The alien roared one last time before going still, his body slumping to the ground. The black sword revealed. In the silence that followed, Thor and Superman turned to the far end of the chamber. There, embedded in a block of obsidian, was the black sword of eternity. Its blade was blacker than the void, its edge shimmering with a faint, unnatural light. Even from a distance, they could feel its power, ancient, dangerous, and hungry. Thor stepped forward, gripping the hilt. The sword slid free with a sound like a whisper in the dark. The bad news. But as Thor lifted it, the blade flickered, a hairline crack running down its center. "It's damaged," Superman said, frowning. Thor's jaw tightened. "It must be reforged in the fires of Asgard," or it will shatter in battle. Cut to Asgard, the Hulk leader's wrath. Far away, in the ruined throne room of Asgard, the Hulk leader sat in silence. When news came of his brother's death, he rose slowly from Odin's throne. "Prepare the armies," he growled to his alien lieutenants. "We will burn the realms until their gods beg for death." The Siege of Asgard. Opening scene. Return to the realm of chains. The Bifrost lay in ruins, its rainbow light now a jagged scar across the void. Thor and Superman emerged from the shadows of the fjords, cloaks pulled tight against the icy wind. Above them, alien warships hung like vultures over a dying beast. Asgard was no longer the realm of gods. It was a prison. The streets were patrolled by alien soldiers, their armor pulsing with green energy. The Hulk leader sat upon Odin's throne, his massive hand gripping the armrest like it might shatter under his strength. Thor's voice was low. "We take back my home, or we die trying." The spark of rebellion. In the catacombs beneath the city, Thor and Superman met with the last free Asgardians, warriors, smiths, and even children who refused to bow. The black sword lay across a stone table, its cracked blade wrapped in cloth. Ira, the last master smith of Asgard, ran her fingers over the fracture. "It can be reforged," she said, "but only in the heart of a dying star." Superman's eyes narrowed. "Then we find one, forging in the starfire." They traveled to Muspelheim, realm of eternal flame, where the sky burned red and rivers of molten rock flowed like blood. At the core of the realm, they found a Starforge, a colossal machine built by the gods of old. Thor held the black sword in the forge's light, while Superman, impervious to the heat, worked the ancient mechanisms. The blade drank the fire greedily, the crack sealing with a hiss. When it emerged, it gleamed with a darkness so pure it seemed to swallow the light around it. Thor gripped the hilt. "Now we make war." Day 1, the first strike. At dawn, the rebellion struck. Superman tore through the alien blockade in the skies, scattering ships like leaves in a storm. Thor led the ground assault, Mjolnir and the black sword flashing in the morning light. The Asgardians fought like wolves cornered, every strike fueled by years of pride and rage. Days 2 to 7, the war of attrition. The Hulk leader unleashed his full army. Day 3, the frozen fjords became a battlefield, ice shattering under the weight of alien war machines. Day 5, the palace gardens burned, their ancient trees turned to ash. Day 7, the shattered Rainbow Bridge became a killing ground, its broken edges glowing with unstable magic. Every day, Superman and Thor fought side by side, lightning and heat vision cutting swathes through the enemy. But the cost was high. Days 8 to 14, the turning point. The Hulk leader himself entered the fray, his blows shaking the city to its foundations. Superman was driven into the ground, so hard the shockwave leveled the district. Thor was hurled into the sea, only to rise again with the Odin force blazing in his eyes. The black sword tasted alien blood for the first time, cutting through armor and flesh alike. But the leader was still too strong to face head-on. Day 15, the storm before the duel. The final day began with silence. The alien army stood in formation before the palace, the Hulk leader at their head. Thor and Superman approached through the ruins, the black sword in Thor's hand, Mjolnir in the other. The leader's voice was a growl that carried across the square. "You kill my brothers. Today, I end your realms." Thor's reply was simple. "Come a try." The wrath of the Hulk leader. Opening scene, the silence before the storm. The 15th dawn over Asgard was blood red. The city lay in ruins, streets cracked, towers toppled, the air thick with smoke and the stench of war. In the palace square, the Hulk leader stood alone, his massive frame casting a shadow over the rubble. His eyes burned with a rage that could melt stone. Thor and Superman approached through the wreckage, side by side. Thor gripped the black sword of eternity in one hand, Mjolnir in the other. Superman's cape was torn, his armor scorched, but his gaze was steady. The Hulk leader's voice was a growl that carried across the square. "You kill my brothers. Today, I end your realms." Thor's reply was cold steel. Come and try. The first clash, gods versus monster. The ground shattered as they met. Thor's lightning split the sky, striking the Hulk leader's chest with the force of a supernova. Superman blurred in from the side, his punch sending shockwaves that cracked the palace walls. The Hulk leader barely flinched. He caught Thor's arm mid-swing and hurled him through a marble pillar. Superman's heat vision carved a molten line across the floor, but the Hulk leader leapt through it, his fist slamming into Superman's jaw with enough force to send him flying into the outer courtyard. The throne room battle. The fight crashed through the palace gates, into the shattered throne room. Mjolnir clanged against alien skin, the black sword slicing deep, each cut releasing a burst of green energy that burned the air. But the Hulk leader was relentless. He grabbed Thor by the throat and slammed him into the cracked throne. Your father's seat is mine now, he snarled. Superman tackled him from behind, driving him through the wall and into the Hall of Heroes. Statues of Asgard's greatest warriors toppled as the two titans traded blows that could level mountains. Near-death moments. The Hulk leader caught Superman mid-flight and smashed him into the ground so hard the floor caved in, dropping them into the palace dungeons. Thor leapt down after them, only to be met with a backhand that sent him skidding across the stone. The leader seized the black sword, snapping it from Thor's grip. He raised it high, ready to drive it through Superman's chest. The Odin force awakens. Thor's eyes blazed with golden light. The Odin force surged through him, lightning erupting from every pore. He called Mjolnir to his hand, the hammer glowing white-hot. With a roar that shook the dungeon walls, Thor hurled Mjolnir into the black sword, knocking it from the Hulk leader's grasp. Superman seized the moment, delivering a punch that sent the leader crashing back into a wall of solid URU metal. The turning point. Thor caught the black sword midair. This ends now. He and Superman attacked in perfect sync, lightning and heat vision striking together, the black sword piercing the Hulk leader's side. For the first time, the alien roared in pain, green blood spilling onto the stone. But instead of falling, he smiled. You think this is over? The final blow, or not? With a surge of strength, the Hulk leader smashed both heroes back, shattering the dungeon wall and opening a view to the burning city outside. Alien reinforcements poured in through the breach, the battle spilling into the streets. Thor and Superman fought their way through the swarm, but the leader vanished into the chaos, retreating but not defeated. The last war of Asgard. Opening scene, the city on fire. Night draped itself over Asgard, but the darkness was lit by flames. The alien army swarmed through the streets, their war cries echoing off shattered walls. Above them, the Hulk leader stood on the palace balcony, his silhouette framed by the burning sky. Thor and Superman stood at the gates, the black sword of eternity in Thor's hand, Mjolnir in the other. Superman's fists clenched, eyes glowing red. Thor's voice was a thunderclap. Tonight, Asgard is free, or it falls forever. The final charge. The gates exploded inward as the heroes charged. Thor's lightning split the night, frying alien soldiers in arcs of white fire. Superman tore through the front lines like a living missile, each punch sending shockwaves that toppled enemy ranks. The Hulk leader leapt down from the balcony, landing with a quake that cracked the courtyard. You will kneel before me, he roared. The duel of titans. The battle was a storm. Thor swung Mjolnir in one hand, the black sword in the other, each strike a blur of light and shadow. Superman fought like a force of nature, heat vision carving molten lines through the battlefield. The Hulk leader countered with raw, unstoppable power, every punch a meteor, every roar a shockwave. The ground beneath them shattered, the palace walls crumbled, and the sky itself seemed to tremble. The turning point. The Hulk leader caught Superman mid-flight and slammed him into the ground so hard the earth split. Thor lunged, driving the black sword into the leader's side, but the alien grabbed the blade, yanked it free, and hurled Thor across the square. Bleeding and battered, Thor rose again. Superman staggered to his feet, his cape in tatters. They locked eyes. No words were needed. The killing blow. Thor hurled Mjolnir high into the storm clouds. Lightning poured down, striking the black sword until it glowed white-hot. Superman grabbed Thor by the arm and launched him forward at supersonic speed. Thor drove the sword straight through the Hulk leader's chest. The alien roared, green energy exploding from the wound, before collapsing to his knees. For Asgard, Thor whispered, and with one final strike, the leader fell. The aftermath. The alien army broke. Without their leader, they scattered in panic. One surviving Hulk, smaller, but still massive, fled through the rift in the sky, vanishing into the void. The fires of Asgard began to die down. The people emerged from hiding, their chains falling away. Thor stood on the palace steps, the black sword in his hand. Asgard is ours again. Superman smiled faintly. Until the next war. Epilogue, the shadow and the stars. Far away, in the cold darkness between galaxies, a massive figure sat upon a throne of bone and steel. His skin was the same alien green, but darker, older. His eyes burned like dying suns. An alien messenger knelt before him. "My lord, your sons are dead." The figure rose, his voice a rumble that shook the void. "Then the realms will burn." The Hulk god father turned toward the stars, his warships igniting one by one. The rift to Asgard began to open again, wider, darker, and far more dangerous than before.